it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, your health features lose by.
Hello. This is Diet Free Life with Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson, and I'm excited and delighted as always to share information with anyone who is wanting to not only lose weight, improve health, feel better, reduce bloating, all of the things that go with feeling and looking your best. Well, today's no different. Actually, no, today is different because I am going to be joined by a very dear friend of mine who is a certified nutritionist, health, weight loss coach in her own right. We met quite a few years ago, and I am one of her mentors, and we're very good friends. And we all help each other in our family of coaches, and I get the opportunity to coach her. And so she wanted to share her journey with her friends, family, and those out there. I think it's so I commend her for 1,000 reasons, right? And one of those main reasons is because we're all human and we all have our own challenges, right? Whether it's losing weight, wanting to be healthier, getting off meds, or maybe it's even playing basketball. Michael Jordan had a coach, Michael Jackson had a dance coach his whole career. Celine Dion has a voice coach. Whitney Houston had a voice coach. Tony Robbins, Mr. Motivator, business guy, has a business coach. So we know as coaches that it's very helpful to have a coach. Now, aside from all of that, stay with us. We're going to go with it and share with you guys kind of like behind the doors of what takes place and what we talk about as far as the diet-free life methodology. So without further delay, let's bring her on, the one and only Lisa Marie.
Okay. Hello, Robert. Hello.
Oh, man. So how was that intro?
That was good.
All right. Well, you know what? You're up. You had an amazing, beautiful post. You got a lot of people that commented on it. So maybe we open up and let's hear from you. Like what's going on, Lisa? What do you want to accomplish? And why are you being so, well, you're transparent anyway, but you're wanting to share your journey with people to inspire them.
Because over this past year, it's been a hard year. There's been a lot of stress. There's been a lot. I've had my own health issues that started taking place. And, and I'm 49. I'm going to be 50. So.
Whoa. I mean, you look great.
But so with that, in the beginning of the year, I reached out to my doctor. I was dealing with stress. I was dealing with anxiety. I was dealing with all of the things. I gained weight. It seemed like I gained weight out of nowhere. And as a diet-free life coach, I know what to do. I've never had, and people will say, like, you don't have an issue with weight. You look great. You don't, but in the past year, I went from 110 pounds to 135. I sent you all of my numbers yesterday. So I've lost a few pounds, in the past week. But, I realized the challenge that even like working with clients in the past, because I never had to deal with weight issues. I never did. And it just came on. And it felt like no matter what I did, I couldn't change it. Didn't matter if I was going to the gym. I felt like even going to the gym, I had this discussion with you, going to the gym, I felt like I was gaining more weight. you know, I was like, maybe it's the stress. Maybe I'm just stressing out my body too much. And, you know, all of my cortisol and my hormones are just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was getting to me. Like, I think it was getting to me for a lot of reasons because, you know, as a coach, I'm able to help and coach other people through it. And I was just, like you said, I was just getting stuck in my head. I was getting depressed. And it was affecting a lot of different areas of my life, you know, with people, with relationships, which is how I felt about myself.
Right.
And, but the interesting part is like, I was able to, I think like now I'm able to understand that in a lot of the people that I help with, you know, that I work with, where I couldn't understand that before.
Right.
And so, you know, I reached out to you the other day, and I think I just said I need help. I think that's like all I said to you is I need help. You know, I know we had a conversation before because I was upset, and um, you know, and then we spoke, and I was just like, listen, this is where I'm at. I need help. I feel like I can't even help people. If I can't help myself, how am I going to help other people? Right? Like, that's just the truth. I'm just being real and honest. That's how I was feeling because I want to be able to help and coach other people. And I know that I can because I've been doing it this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like that voice inside, right? That is like, you know, you're not even able to lose this weight yourself. So what's going on? So I did. I reached out to you. I said, you know what, Robert? I know the program. I know how to do it. It's just not working for me. And I know there's definitely things that I'm doing that, you know, one glass of wine turns into two, you know, like little things that are preventing that. But I realized that I just needed the accountability. Like, because I think sometimes that's what it is. It's like the accountability. You know, I even had a client that I coached a few months ago reach out to me and said that, you know, it's been hard not having that accountability. So here we are. So
Well, you
I'm
know,
going
that's a good one. Let's talk about accountability because I think many people who are sitting in, right, um, listening to our conversation can relate to accountability. But what
yeah.
is the one thing that stops them from putting themselves in a position to get accountability, which comes to mind to me is humility.
Yeah.
So, so what's your thoughts, even in coaching clients, because you're obviously humble because we're here and
Right.
you're sharing and we're working together. What's stopping other people from taking advantage of the power of accountability?
I don't know, you know, like it's taken me a while to come to you and say, you know,
Well,
uh,
maybe that's what it is. You
because
have
I
to hit.
think I did it on my own. For me, it was just like I know the steps. I know how to do it. So I should be able to hold myself accountable to that. But, you know, even through working with my clients and, you know, me being able to hold them accountable, I know that there's something to that, right?
Mhm.
There's something that, you know, and I think sometimes when we're in a space, like for me, it's like I can't get out of my head with, you know, um I don't know, for me I needed that reset because I know that the number on the scale, like, you know, it's so funny because I know the number on the scale doesn't mean anything, and I know
Right.
we'll discuss that. I know it doesn't mean anything, but then it gets in your head, right? Like, that number's going up. Why is it going up? You know, and I can look at the body fat percentage, I can look at the water, I know all of that, but that number, I needed to come to you. Like, I just had to be like, listen, I need help. And I think maybe, I don't know, you just get to that point where, um, you know, you can't do it on your own. And I think like that there's a lot of there's that in a lot of things in life. And for me, I've just always been the person that, you know, being a single mom, going through like a lot of things that I've gone through in my life. It's just, I've done it on my own. So it's pride maybe, I don't know, that I can do it on my own. And in this season of life, I can't.
Well, so let's call this chapter 1 of our conversation. And to me, it's I'll title it a get real moment.
Yeah.
Right. So that moment where one, you say, okay, I'm going to get help. That doesn't mean I'm weak. I'm just going to get that. I'm going to surround myself with the team. Right. So you're creating the Lisa Marie Dream Team. And part of that, you guys, is that this morning when we work with the client, as I'm working with Lisa, that get real moment is she emails me all of her numbers, like her weight, her body fat percentage, waist. We even look at the glucose number. And a lot of people probably ask you, why is she looking at her glucose? You want to comment on that, Lisa?
Yeah, the glucose. So
which your glucose numbers are great, by the way.
It was actually, I thought that's what I was like when I saw that. I was expecting that to be, I was expecting that to be over 100. You know, I've always had, not that I've always had, but I was pre-diabetic at one point. I've shared this before, through your program is how I got my numbers and my insulin resistance and my pre-diabetes reversed. But I also know that, you know, that insulin resistance affects, you know, all of our hormones, right? Insulin, you know, and I am putting on fat. I'm sure, although I've gone to my doctor and I had, you know, a whole hormone panel and all of that done because of my age, and the perimenopause and, you know, all of that, you know, but all my numbers came back right.
Now, were you able to get your fasting insulin done this time?
I didn't. I told you I still have to look at my blood work, but I don't think my fasting insulin was in there. I know my A1C was there and my A1C came back normal, but we know that doesn't really matter. But this is the first time I've checked my fasting glucose in a while. You know, but all my numbers seem to be okay, but like, why is this fat? Like, you know, I don't know. I've never had that issue. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, like that fasting glucose, I mean, that tells a lot. And that's one tool, right, that we can all use to know where we are in addressing our health. Because even when you go for like blood work, like I just said, my A1C numbers are fine. I was actually, like I said, surprised that my fasting glucose this morning was a 91. I was expecting it to be more like maybe 107, 108. And it was there in January. So in January of this year, my fasting glucose was about 107, 108.
Okay, it was starting to climb a little bit.
Starting to climb.
Okay.
Up. Did it freeze up? Up.
No, you're good. Sometimes it'll look like it does, but it won't.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
And it's just, you know, and I haven't wanted to look at that, quite honestly. Like, you know, I know that's a tool, and I haven't wanted to look at it because one, I'm just like, well, it's definitely climbing, and so I know what I need to do to bring it down. So, you know, I have been trying that, and, you know, I guess it is, you know, I don't know what it would have been if I would have done this a few weeks ago, because I've been trying, you know?
Yeah. So for those who are listening, we like to look at the glucose number, as Lisa just mentioned. And so we encourage clients that we work with to get a glucose monitor. And sometimes, Lisa, and I'm sure you probably have stories, I've had someone get a glucose monitor and then they check and I get on the phone because they've never done it before. And I'll say, okay, I got your numbers this morning. I said, I noticed your fasting glucose is 170. Right? They're like, okay, so what does that mean? I'm like, well, maybe that, have you had any blood work done recently? Nope, haven't been to the doctor in probably 3 years. Okay. Well, that's pretty high. So let's check it tomorrow and then the next day. And what I'll usually do if it's that high, which is a sign that they are full-blown type 2 diabetic, after like 2 days, if it's still elevated, I'll say, you know what? Either let's go have a doctor's visit or let's get another glucose monitor because it could be damaged.
Yeah.
But I love to rule that out. But then some of you are going, well, my glucose is good too. Well, Lisa, what she was saying earlier is that we know that that's just one marker to look at because insulin is the main marker. And that's, Lisa, what I believe is playing a role right now with why you're having a little bit more of a challenge of dropping the weight.
Yeah.
And I also believe that with perimenopause is playing a role.
Yeah.
So we're going to address the insulin resistance. And that's how I think that's how we're going to be successful. So that's the plan. So if you guys weren't here and Lisa and I were talking, we would be having more technical conversation, right? But we want to talk in a way where everyone can like learn something from this.
Right.
So in saying that with Lisa, I would say, hey, how do you feel about eating 3 meals a day? And I'm going to say that because she knows the methodology like I know it. But I'm going to say it because my gut tells me you're not that hungry right now. And it's probably going to be tough to eat 3 meals, or I could be wrong.
No, you're right.
Okay.
Yep.
And
yep. And so I'm going to try and just be a client.
Okay.
But I think it's good too, because I don't know if any other coaches go through this or anybody that is, in this field that is coaching other people, I think it's good to share that side of things because I get in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's got to be insulin. I know that if I'm not eating 3 meals a day, right, I know that's making it worse. And I know, it's hard, Robert, because I know too much, and then that causes the stress. So that's why I just need to start as a client all over again.
Okay. Yep. No, I follow you. So anyone who, if you hear us say eat 3 meals, in your mind, you're thinking, I'm really not hungry. And now it's even harder for someone like Lisa because she knows that the 3 meals would work. We've done clinicals. For instance, we took 3 groups of people, and this was a large amount of people, and they ate the same amount of calories in the whole day, 3 groups of people. And they had the same amount of macronutrients. So throughout the whole day, they had the same amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And one group ate 1 meal a day. The other group ate 2 meals. And then the last group ate 3 meals. But remember, calories are the same for the whole day. Macronutrients are the same. The group that lost the most weight was the group that had 3 meals. So we know that 3 meals is going to benefit us. We also know that a slowed metabolism when you first wake up in the morning, you're not hungry. And then Lisa really understands like mTOR and these things that help preserve your muscle. Ladies, if you're perimenopause or menopausal in whatever level, insulin resistance, if you're going to miss a meal, don't miss breakfast. You want to eat breakfast and you want to make sure you get enough protein to preserve your skeletal muscle. So that's going to be our first challenge, Lisa, is getting 3 meals a day.
Yep. All right.
So we got to make it. Now, did you have breakfast this morning? Okay.
So,
All right, we're off to a good start.
well, like we're gonna start at lunch, but see, but that's the thing. I'm just gonna keep it real. Like, no, I know I should have had breakfast this morning. I know I should have had breakfast, within that first hour of waking up. I know I should have at least had protein. I know the things.
Okay, so now if we were like, if we're private, right? Or if I'm working with a client, I would
Right.
say, okay, let's figure out what you could do for breakfast tomorrow.
Okay.
Like, what could be something you could eat or drink, like a smoothie? I mean, I know it's starting to get cooler,
So,
but
and that's what I've been doing.
okay.
So I have been having a shake in the morning this past week. I have, except for this morning. But what I have been doing is I've been having a shake because that's pretty much like, it doesn't feel like I'm eating, like I can just kind of drink it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing a shake and I've been adding some blueberries and some strawberries to it.
Nice.
Because I know, it's not, but it's not that I want to have a shake every day, but I know like at where I'm at right now, having that shake is better than having absolutely nothing.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
So that's what I can do this week.
Okay. And there's protein powder in that shake.
There's protein. So yeah, there's 20 grams of protein.
Okay. All right. Now, and that's a fat burning meal. So
Right.
that's if you could do that, and then you want to make it convenient, right? So a lot of times when people want to lose weight or make these improvements, they don't think about the importance of making it convenient. Right. Like, we understand convenience when it comes to why people gain weight, right? Fast food, Grubhub, DoorDash, like everything's convenient. Don't go grocery shopping. Keep it convenient on that side. We want to make it convenient when it comes to like being able to wake up. You got frozen berries in the fridge.
Right.
You got a protein powder. The blender's already clean. You don't have to clean it. So make sure you clean it the night before if it was dirty. I'm an egg guy. It does take a little bit more time in the morning, right? But I wake up and I'll do a 3-egg omelet, and it works for me. And I always have fresh strawberries or blueberries because my kids love it. My quick go-to, which I have no desire to do it, but I do it, is I'll make a coffee and then I'll get Greek yogurt out the fridge, and I'll throw in my berries for my slow carb, and I'll drizzle a little bit of like maple syrup on it just to give it some added sweetness because I like sweet stuff. I mean, I grew up drinking Kool-Aid. Right? Which it's funny, my daughter the other day, who's 18, she went over to one of her friends' house, and I'm being stereotypical, but her friend is black and she doesn't have a lot of black friends. So she goes over there and she goes, "Daddy, guess what?" I said, "What?" She goes, "I went over to my friend's house to remind me of grandma, which is my mom, who happens to be black, and a lot of stereotypical things on the wall." Anyway, I said, "Okay." I said, "Did you have a good time?" She goes, "Yeah." And guess what? I said, "What?" She goes, "I had Kool-Aid for the first time."
You're drinking Kool-Aid now.
Oh my goodness. She said it was too sweet.
Yeah.
So I get it. But I remember, I love some Kool-Aid back in the day. And that's how you cause insulin resistance.
We used to like the iced tea. My mom used to have like the jug of like the iced tea or the lemonade. Yeah.
Yeah, lemonade. That was another one too. And I remember going to some of my friends' homes, and they would have like the iced tea. And I remember just thinking like how good it was.
Yeah.
But not in my house. Okay, so our goal, everybody, is we're gonna get in 3 meals, and you get the point as far as making it convenient, right?
So yeah, so I knew what was gonna happen, and I know where this is going over the course. So right, it's a little bit different, and maybe we can start with Robert. I sent you my numbers. I don't care. You can share whatever. I'm an open book. right? But that's always like the first step, right? Is having that baseline of where we're at and the carb threshold. So I know
Uh-oh.
what, yes or no?
No, I'm saying you mentioned carb threshold, so that means people are like, what is the carb threshold? Which we'll explain, everybody. But go ahead, keep going.
Because that's in my head, right? So I know that I have to, maybe for a time, make my meals a certain way. So
Yeah.
in the making it easier on myself, what I did prepare. So I did go to the grocery store, and I already got like the veggies that I like already cut up and prepared. You know, I got myself a chicken, you know, just the foods that I like to eat. But I got them already cut up and done so that I don't have to start, you know, coming home and dicing and slicing, because it just makes it easier for me. And I know that, you know, I might have paid a little bit more for it, but at this point, it's better than seeing it go to waste, because I'm not going to cut it up, and I'm going to look for something that's easy, or I'm going to go, I'll go out, right? Like DoorDash, I'll order DoorDash, and I'll try to make it a fat burning meal, but it doesn't always work out, you know, that way. In my head, I'll make it, you know, I'll just be like, oh, I'll just have the burger and I won't have the fries. But so that's just one way that we can prepare, you know, it costs a little bit more, but having like the veggies and the food, prepared is good.
Okay. Now you see the question on the screen, right? I'm not familiar with I think it's a protein she's asking about called asin or asin. I'm not sure what that means.
I can't
But
even.
I'll read it for you. It says, is having a protein shake like asin, which gives me my protein okay to have for breakfast.
So that's a protein. I guess that's a protein.
Yeah. So what we do, so what Lisa's doing with her 3 meals is she's making what we call fat burning meals. So it's really a combination of foods that will give you the protein that we're shooting for, as well as enough carbohydrates to make it what we call a balanced fat burning meal. And so if the protein powder is somewhere between 15 to 30 grams of protein in a serving, that combined with other carbohydrates that will have some protein would make it a balanced meal. Okay, so that's what we mean by a protein or a balanced meal with protein. And so her goal is to do that throughout the day. So if you were being coached by Lisa or being coached by me, you learn how to combine your foods in a way to get those results. But then Lisa said something very powerful, and is a big part of, like she said, right now where I'm at, I know what I'm going to need to do in the beginning, which is temporary, and that is eat foods a certain way. So what I would recommend, Lisa, is we're going to stick primarily to what we call protein and slow carbs for the first week. And then I want you to photo journal, right? Because if we're all in, you got to be all in, right?
We're all in. So I'm going to photo journal. I'm going to post it. I'll make reels on Facebook, and I will show everybody what I'm eating. I'm going to be accountable to everybody. I'll send them to you, but I'm going to be accountable to everyone.
Okay, so you guys hear that? So you're going to see what fat burning meals look like, because Lisa's going to be posting them. And keep in mind, she's eating foods that she likes. Because you know how some people, because of dichotomous thinking, they'll see you post a meal with shrimp, and in their mind, they're going, well, I don't eat shrimp. Again, she's eating what she likes. And so what happens is you get a flood of foods. We put them into these categories called proteins, fast carbs, slow carbs, fats, condiments, and everything has a place. And then she combines them the way she knows and the way we teach. And then that makes it fat burning. Now, what she's going to do, remember we said we're going to tackle insulin resistance. So my job as a coach for Lisa right now is to remind her that eating the way she's going to be eating is going to make it where she's going to have less insulin floating around in her body. And if you have less insulin floating around, then that means that's going to help with insulin resistance, put her in a position where she's going to be able to optimize fat burning. So we're not talking sugar, we're talking insulin. And that's the part that a lot of people aren't fully aware of yet. But when you're working with Lisa, if she's your coach, or with myself or any of our coaches, we specialize both on the glucose response to the foods you eat and the insulin, which is a hormone, response to the foods you eat. And then we're able to reverse insulin resistance.
Right.
Did I miss anything, Lisa?
No, but you know what I do want to say, like, because you brought it up before when you asked me, did you get your fasting insulin? And that's something that I know, like, a lot of times when you go to the doctor, they, you know, they'll always do your A1C, you know, your glucose levels, but asking and requesting for your fasting insulin will serve you better. Actually, you can and you can request that. I just want to say that.
And hopefully they do it
right.
And I know depending on where you live, there's a website you can go to, everyone. If you don't want to go to your doctor, it's called walkinlab.com or Walk-In Labs, one of them. And you put in your zip code and they'll basically tell you where's the closest place, like a Quest lab, that you could just go in the morning and get your blood work done just for fasting insulin. And on average, it costs around $25. And then you will know what your fasting insulin is, which is great to know. And then that'll give us more information on if you have insulin resistance.
Right.
Now, with Lisa, she sent me her numbers, her weight, body fat, waist. So we have a formula, a proprietary formula, where we take all of Lisa's numbers and we come up with this thing called a carb threshold score. And that score will tell us what level of insulin resistance Lisa has. And then our goal is to measure that again after about 30 days. And we'll be able to see her leaving insulin resistance. And at that point, the weight loss becomes even better, or the fat loss. You want me to add anything to that, Lisa, or you want to speak on that anymore?
No, what's my number?
Oh, I haven't. I will do it as soon as we're done.
Okay.
I got it. So what happens, you guys, is she sends in her numbers. I calculate her carb threshold score, and then I email it back to her. I'll probably call her or send her a message so she knows what her score is. And then as her waist gets smaller or and her body fat drops, if her sugars were high and they get lower, all of those improvements increase her score, and eventually she won't be insulin resistant. Right. But if you're insulin resistant, then it's tough. Do you think I should explain what insulin resistant is?
I think you should.
Okay. For those who are catching us, live, you want to know what insulin resistance is, because you hear a lot about it, but very rarely do you hear someone explain it.
Right. Everybody talks about it. Oh, insulin resistance. But yeah, I think you should.
Okay. So let's say that my fist is a fat cell, and that fat cell inside has fat, right? And the goal is the fat cell, under certain conditions, will open up, and then the fat will leave the cell, and then you can burn it, use it for fuel, and it can leave your body. Well, if this is my cell, around that cell you have a membrane. So my hand is a membrane, and that membrane, you want it to be fluid. And what happens is insulin, one of its primary jobs is to get sugar out of your blood. So when you eat any sugar, and even if you don't eat sugar, your liver will release sugar, right? So when sugar's floating around in the blood, insulin comes out. Think of it as swimming through the blood, and it goes up to the cells and it sends a signal and it's telling the fat cell to open up so that the sugar can get inside. Well, after a while, and when you have insulin resistance, the insulin comes and it's knocking on the door. It's yelling, it's screaming to the fat cell, open up. But the fat cell is resistant. It's like, no. So then more insulin has to come, and they force their way in, make that cell open. That's insulin resistance. It's when the cells are resistant to insulin asking it to open up. That's insulin resistance. And it can be reversed if you're addressing it. And according to Tufts University, in a very recent study, they estimate that 93% of all adults in the United States and Canada have some level of insulin resistance. That's a lot. So as people are maturing in age, perimenopause and those things are happening, you have insulin resistance, you're not addressing it, it's getting worse and you don't even know it. But like Lisa mentioned earlier, in your mind, you're thinking, well, my sugar's good. My sugar's good. My sugar's good. Well, you still got insulin resistance. And that's kind of how it works. Hopefully that made sense to everybody.
And we're not going to lose that fat.
That's right. You're not. And if and one other thing, like if insulin is really flooding to force those cells to open up and respond, that means you have more insulin floating around. And whenever insulin is around floating, the fat cell, it will not like work with you. You can't lose fat if you have elevated insulin in your body. It's called hyperinsulinemia.
Yep.
But it can be fixed, everybody. So for those who are in the struggle, we can help you. I mean, and Lisa can coach you. I mean, she'll take on a client. You know, I think, I mean, she's putting it out there. Why not?
Yeah. You know, I mean, and those are the things that I know. And I know it'll all be reversed. I know that once that insulin is addressed, I will start to see that fat come down, right? Because that's actually the number. If you want, we can talk about the numbers, right? So like my number, I forget, what did I send you? The number on my scale, I think, is 131.
Right. And
So,
again, you'll have people looking, going, girl, you look great. You don't need it. People, everyone knows what they want to weigh and how they want to feel.
right.
And
But
if you're 110 pounds and you go up to 135, that's a lot of weight.
It was a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's like if you were 135 and you went down to 110, people would be like, oh my God, are you on GLP-1?
Right. But, you know, and it's like, and it's that fat percentage. So, you know, we can talk about, I wish I had a thing to show.
So what is your, well, we'll be able to do like we'll show your original stats and we'll make it look fancy as we move forward. But what was your body fat percentage this morning?
Well, my body fat percentage is 27%.
Okay.
So
and you're used to being under what, 20%?
I'm used to being about 21%.
Okay.
So that's a lot. You know, and that's the thing, you know, like that's why I said it's not really the number. It's not, I can be fine. If I'm 131 pounds, you know, what's like a great example is like when you see the, oh my God, help me with the word, body composition.
Okay. Like a bodybuilder, like Arnold Schwarzenegger was considered obese, even at his most fit, right?
Right. So it's like, you know, because if you're looking at weight, everybody should get a scale, like one of the smart scales, that it's not just the number on the scale. So you can see your body fat percentage, you can see your water weight, you can see your bone mass, right? Because all of those numbers play into it. And it's body fat. It's really the, you know, if I was 131 pounds and, you know, I'll even take like 23% body fat, my body would look and I would feel so completely different.
Amen.
It's not about, you know, I understand now, this is what I was, you know, kind of saying earlier. I understand how, you know, I think especially as women, we can get stuck on that number on the scale.
Right.
Because I know that that 131 means absolutely nothing. In my head, I know that, you know what, I would like to be 131. I like being actually 131 as opposed to 110 pounds. But I know that I need to increase my muscle mass, especially now, you know, at 49 and 50, you know, going into that season of my life. I know it's so important to hold on to that muscle mass and to see that fat come down, you know, for so many reasons.
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know, I mean, and I'm like, you know, I shared with you, and I'll, you know, I don't mind sharing, but like, you know, I've been dealing with some health issues over the past year, from asthma. You know, I got diagnosed with asthma, and now they wanted me to go for an endoscopy because I'm dealing with acid reflux, and you know, I'm having all sorts of gut issues. I know that I can address all of that, you know, with diet, with just changing my lifestyle, changing and managing the stress that, you know, it's a balance. It's finding that balance, you know.
Which we are going to do.
Amen.
Actually, not going. We are doing it.
No, we are doing it, and
Yeah.
that's why, you know, and that's why I'm putting myself out there, because I know I'm not the only one that's going through it. I know that, you know, there's plenty of women, there's plenty of men, you know, that are going through it too. You know, I don't know. I didn't, you know, I wasn't expecting all of this stuff over the past year, but you know, it's taken its toll on me. And, you know, your health is the most important, right? So,
You know, I heard a quote the other day, and I hope I don't butcher this, but it was good. His name is Frank Kimbrough the third, and he said that you may have 1,000 problems until you have a health problem, and then you got one. And I was like, man, because you're right. Once you lose your health, buddy, it's not good at that point.
right. So, you know, so it's, and maybe like that goes back to what you were saying before. What is it that, you know, and unfortunately, I think it's true. Like, what is it? So I'm a coach. I've been dealing and going through this, but what is it that made me reach out to you and say I need help? Is probably the health issues that I'm dealing with. Right? It's okay now. You know, my body's turning on me. You know, I know a lot. I know it comes from stress, you
Right.
know, and, you know, and just with aging, you know, as far as my hormones and, you know, certain things are happening. But I know that I know that if I can get that insulin addressed, a lot of those other things, including my stress, right? Because cortisol is affected by that. If I can get that in check, I'll see those things reversed.
Yes,
And
I agree.
it's so important sometimes, like when you're in that space, I don't want to see it get worse. So I know that you can help me, right? And I know that, you know, it's just like I know that when I'm working with somebody, I know that I can help them and I can reverse them. But sometimes, you know, we just need, even when we know what to do, we need help.
Amen. Okay, well, we had there's some questions that I'm pulling from Facebook. One, Diane, I'm glad you caught us, Diane. She wanted to know like what panels you want to get when you get your blood work done. So just like if it was fresh and you were going to go to your doctor, get your typical blood panel, you know, triglycerides, get your cholesterol. Even, I mean, I want to see the HDL cholesterol. So get your cholesterol panel. You know, they'll check your blood pressure, which is always good to do. But ask them specifically to do your fasting glucose and fasting insulin, and say them both together, because then they'll question and go, well, you just mean you're fasting glucose. And at that point you say, no, and fasting insulin. Well, you don't really need that. Well, I would like that. So they will pressure you, right, Lisa? It's like,
Well, the ones that know, like my doctor is actually, some doctors know. My doctor is very good. She's about, she will, if I ask her for fasting insulin, she knows exactly why I'm asking her and she'll do it.
Okay,
You know,
perfect. Well, you have a good doctor, because trust me, I've had many clients where the doctors push back and give them a very hard time.
Right.
And look at them like they're stupid. You know what I mean? When it's like, no, I want my fasting insulin, buddy.
Well, then that's when you go find, I don't think that we can do, I don't think we can do that My Lab thing in New York. I think that New York is just, we're not allowed to do.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, New York is blocked.
We're not allowed to be in charge of our own health here, like many other, but there's always a way, right? If your doctor's not, find another doctor that will do it.
And another thing that we're going to talk about, and as we share your journey, we'll share more with people. But last night I went to bed watching a couple of, not documentaries, but lectures on the gut microbiome. And we've talked a lot about the gut microbiome, the gut microbiota. And there's a test. I'm going to send you one. I told you about the new gut health test, right? And the reason being is that there's part that I kept watching last night, and I'll send this to you as well. It's someone who's been studying the microbiome for like 20 years, scientist, smart guy. I really like his work. And he was showing how a lot of women, and a lot of people are like, why are you guys doing that now when you're about done? Okay. But he was talking a lot about how the gut microbiome, what they're saying, is playing a role into the insulin resistance and around perimenopause and postmenopause. The bacteria, the lack of diversity in the gut is playing a huge role in unwanted weight gain. And those people, they brought in more polyphenols. And I love it because he said coffee, which we all know, well, some of us are hearing this for the first time, coffee is packed with polyphenols. So he was saying, drink your coffee, eat your blueberries, get those red bell peppers, bring in those fruits and vegetables, which a lot of people tend to avoid because they're packed with polyphenols.
Right.
And the polyphenols will help create that diversity. And you know how when we coach a person and we have them do that plant-based challenge during the week. And for those of you who are hearing that for the first time, what Lisa knows is the more variety of food she eats, especially the way we teach her how we eat fat-burning meals, that means more polyphenols, which means more diverse gut bacteria, which means healthier gut. And waistline goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this crazy, like what he was talking about, because I've shared this with you and I've shared this with clients over the years, where when they're eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, even if the weight doesn't come down as fast, their waist always gets smaller. Yeah. And he was talking about that. And I was like, whoa. I mean, it was like today, I already know what I'm going to do because it's raining in California. It's dark. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a quiet time. I'm going to make it really dark. And I'm going to watch this guy one more time. And I'll send it to you because it was a very good lecture. And he spoke to what he's seen. And I'm like, I have witnessed this firsthand.
Yeah.
When you're eating a variety of fruits and vegetables, even if the weight doesn't come down, you can see the waist get smaller on most women. And it's the polyphenols.
All right. Well, we're going to do it. We're going to show everyone. I'll be okay. Because, and that's the other thing too, right? Like, I love, even with that challenge, it's like, it's all the different colors, right? So even if you like apples, right? Like you can have a red apple, then you can have a green apple, you can have a yellow apple, like there's all the different, you can kind of keep with the same food, just have a different variety of it.
Amen. And then when you learn how to eat it in the right combinations and you spread it out the right way, then we have a win-win.
Absolutely.
Is there so what is the goal as far as our updating everybody on your journey? Should we repeat this a week from today?
Yeah. Why not?
And then we'll show your beginning numbers, where your current numbers are, kind of hear how the first week went.
Yeah.
The good and the bad.
Well, document it and share it. Yeah. Because it's not, I know it's not, I know that this first week is not, it's not going to be that, I mean, it's easy, but it's hard to.
Yes.
I get it. I know. I've done it before, and but it's what needs to be done, right?
All right.
So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to share. I will be sending you my meals, right? Because that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll also be posting them. So if anybody that's following along wants to post their meals, just post it. And you know what I always love to, and I always tell my clients when I'm working with them, so even if if you're following along, like you were saying earlier, like the foods that I eat might not be what somebody else likes to eat, or or I even tell my clients in the beginning to just send me what you're eating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me see. Don't try and eat a different way for me, because eventually I want to be able to help you eat those foods that you like to eat in a combination that's actually going to help you, right?
Amen. Mm-hmm.
So anybody that's following along, whatever it is that you're eating, post it, because I love sharing and showing people how to turn that into a fat burning meal instead of a fat storing meal. And
Amen.
our insulin resistance and diabetes and heart disease and you name it.
Well, so I'm gonna ask you for a tip, and then we'll say goodbye. Okay.
Okay.
So I have a client who had a girls' trip, and she's following the Diet Free Life methodology, right? And her goal is to get in her 3 meals, right? And a snack if she's really hungry.
Right.
And so the whole time, all her girlfriends, they don't really eat. I don't know if you experienced that, but a lot of people don't eat. Most people eat maybe 2 meals in a day. Some people may snack and then have one bigger meal. And so when she wanted to have breakfast, when nobody was thinking about food, they were giving her a hard time. And when she wanted to have lunch, and they're like, we can do that later, and she's like, no, I need to eat. What would you suggest to her that would help her the next time? Because she fell prey to not eating because of the pressure they were putting on her not to eat.
Okay, so I was in this situation. Well, I wasn't put in this situation. I totally understand and can totally relate. I spent a lot of time around people, and I'm watching what they eat, and especially because of where I'm at, I'm I'm watching what they eat, because I'm they're skinny, and I found myself in that, comparing myself to others. And so, and it's interesting, right? Because I know I know that it's not the right way, but I found myself in that spot. And so I found myself, at one point I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to skip, and I'm going to go along with the crowd. And honestly, I started gaining more weight. When I stopped stressing about what they were doing, because I know that I need to eat, and I know that I don't need to avoid that pasta, right?
Right.
I don't need to avoid, even having that glass of wine. I didn't need to, I was trying to conform to what they were doing because of where I was, even though I know, like I said, I know different. So where I'm at now and what I will do going forward is I will stick to what I know, because by following that, I know I created more issues, right? Like even with like, you know, the whole fat, like those are conversations that we can have in the future too. But like, you know, the fasting and you know, like all these different diets or you know, and I think a lot of people too are just on, like, sometimes I wonder, like, are all these people on GLP-1s?
A lot of them are.
Because, you know, like, as I'm like watching people in restaurants or, you know, just in life, and I'm just like, how are they, you know, like maybe calories in, calories, you know, I know that that's not the thing. It doesn't matter, you know, but in my head, it's like, you know what? I don't care. I need to have the protein. That's always what I have always done is I always say first, you know, and this is again, what's my protein? And yeah, don't follow what everybody else is doing. You know, that's just do what you know, because it doesn't. Doing all that stuff messes up your hormones. It's messing insulin. You know, the things that you can't see that you don't realize it's doing. That's what it's doing. And then you're gonna start seeing the weight come on. And when I started going back to, you know what, I can have that bread, and I can add that butter to it. You know, or I can have that potato and I could put some sour cream on it, and I can have the steak with it, you know, and have my veggies too on the side. Like there's nothing wrong with that meal. And
nothing.
And people around, you know, there's certain people that make you think that there's something wrong with that, but there's nothing wrong with that meal. You can have it.
Yeah, they just don't know what we know.
Right.
So, all right. Well, great first session.
All right.
I will get you your carb threshold score.
All right.
And you guys connect with Lisa. If you're a Facebook friend with me, then friend request her or follow her, because she's going to be posting these meals. And we will check back in with you guys, hopefully same time next week.
Yeah, we'll try.
All right, we'll try. That's our goal. Yeah. But we will eventually be on.
Might be in the evening.
Amen.
All right.
All right, Lisa.
All right, bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Until the next one.
No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome feels so right.